Hi, and welcome to The Hot Seat with Emily deAyala and Dr. Viviana Coles. I am Emily, and
I'm Dr. Viviana Coles.
Yes, and we are so excited for you to join us today. We've been wanting to collaborate for a long time.
A very long time.
And we thought a YouTube series would be a great idea to just share what we know to you guys and hopefully give you some information about sex and relationships. We have a lot of fun topics.
A lot of fun topics that we tend to just get together and talk about over happy hour or dinner. And now we thought we should share some of this stuff. This is important for a lot of people to know, but especially those who are interested in going to see a couples counselor or a relationship counselor or anyone who's interested in sex and love.
Exactly. So we want to start by telling you guys a little bit about us and our background and our practice. And then we'll go into a little bit about what brings people into therapy so that you'll have an idea of whether or not you think therapy is a good fit for you. And then we'll talk some about what we have planned.
And I want to make sure that everybody knows that when we're talking about our own experiences as couples and sex therapists. This isn't going to be something that you experience with every single certified sex therapist that's out there, nor every single LPC or LMFT. So we want to share about what goes on in our practices with our clients and the things that we have found that are most helpful, and sometimes sharing what doesn't help very much. So throughout this series, you're going to hear a lot about what we think. We want to hear what you have to say about all this. We want to know your questions. We want to build this series based around what you as the viewer want to know. Maybe ask your partner, ask your friends. What do they want to know about sex, love, and everything under the sun when it comes to relationships? So,
and leave everything in the comments section. We have a hashtag. It's hashtag hot seat. So hopefully that's easy to remember. Hashtag it all over the place. Leave your comments and questions, and we read everything. So we really do want to hear from you guys.
Leave it morning, noon, and night. We'll make sure to take a look, and we'll definitely try to make sure that we are following what's going on and making sure that we're keeping up to date with what it is that you want. Again, that's hashtag hot seat. That's HOTSEAT. And we look forward to hearing all of your comments. So let's get started a little bit with what Emily, tell us about you.
Sure. So let me tell you guys a little bit about my background. I knew pretty early on that I wanted to specialize in sex and relationships. My dad is an OBGYN, so sex was never a taboo topic in my household growing up. It's something I've always been comfortable talking about. And then on top of that, I think probably the same for you, my friends just came to me for advice.
It's like they swarmed to us, even at a young age, and they're like, wait a minute, yeah, I do have stuff to share about this, and how is that?
Exactly. I feel like I hear that from a lot of clinicians, and so I was always comfortable giving advice. And so when I was studying psychology in undergrad, I took a human sexuality class, and that was pretty much it for me. And so
that's hooked.
I was hooked. I was totally hooked. And so that's really where I focused my work, and I eventually opened my private practice, and that's what I've been doing pretty much ever since.
And you have your licensed professional counselor?
Yes. So I'm a dually licensed. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist. And then I have a certification in sex therapy through the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists.
Also known as ASECT.
So we might refer to that. You'll hear us talk about ASECT.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Viviana Coles. I have my doctorate in marriage and family therapy. I also have my license as a marriage and family therapist and supervisor, and I'm also a certified sex therapist. For me, it was a little bit different. Coming from my background, it's not so much that we didn't talk about sex very often, but it certainly wasn't something that was glorified or shouted from the rooftops in my household. But really, certainly any topic surrounding love and relationships was something that was more seen from just through my parents and their loving relationship. And I learned a lot about that. It wasn't until I was in high school and starting to decide, where am I going to go to college? Because that was definitely on my plan. So it wasn't until I actually talked to my college counselor, and she said, what do you like to do? I said, well, I like to talk a lot. I get in trouble for it often in high school, but that's not a job. And she said, well, yeah, absolutely. You can talk to a lot of people when it comes to counseling. Family relationships, couples counseling, working with kids. And so then I started planning out my college career around going into counseling, and I loved it. So got my master's, got my doctorate, decided to move back to Houston and start my practice, which is, again, Texas relationship therapy. And it wasn't until I was in Florida getting my master's that I realized that sex therapy is an actual thing. And I thought, you know what, just in case there's that one couple that asks me about sex, I'll want to be able to talk to them about it. Sure enough, I put it on my card, and that's what I've been seeing ever since.
You know, you guys, it's really interesting because a lot of marriage and family therapy programs, master's programs, doctorate programs, have no requirement for a human sexuality class. And that's a pretty important part of most relationships and certainly marriages. And so I think we both noticed that.
But there's kind of this piece of education and training that's lacking.
Right.
And not only that, but let's say they only ask for that one class.
Yes.
Well, in states like Texas, that's all they need to do to say that they do sex therapy.
Right.
And that's a little bit disconcerting.
Yes.
That's not to say that all marriage and family therapists and all LPCs who don't have their certification aren't qualified. There are some really great practitioners who haven't gotten their certification, but who have shown an interest, maybe even lifelong interest in the field, and do an amazing job. But certification's important.
It's important, and I think what we're going to really highlight through this series is that sex therapy is a lot more than what you think of probably when you think of sex therapy. I always tell people you can't separate your sexuality from your individuality. It's intrinsically wound up in who we are.
It's a part of everything.
It's a part of everything, exactly. And so we're going to really peel back the layers and take a closer look at what that means.
And we're hoping that you'll join us as often as we post, and we hope to do that more and more often. Remember the hashtag Hot Seat, and we look forward to doing this more often.